Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We're back with another United Daily Live, and Manchester United could be playing football behind closed doors well into 2021, or at least they are making those preparations for that to happen in the ultimate doomsday scenario. We're here on AdamMcKola TV to go through all the latest news in the world of Manchester United, and of course the headlines being Rooney's comments on Ravel Morrison being better than Pogba, which we've heard a number of times, and it's kind of the tragedy of the Ravel Morrison story. I've been asked many a times the player coming through in the academy who I wish made it, and Ravel Morrison is always number one in that list. Rojo has been caught breaking lockdown rules out in Argentina. Typical Marcus Rojo stuff. And as soon as I seen the article, which said Man United player, even though he's on loan, I knew it was Marcus Rojo. And we look at those comments from the head coach of Roma, which we did report on yesterday in regards to Chris Smalling staying in Italy. Now, I know a few of you want Chris Smalling to come back to Manchester United. That's not necessarily my opinion, but we can discuss that here today too, if you fancy it, here on AdamMcKola TV. So make sure your comments, your thoughts, your super chats are coming in. Get everything in. If there's anything I've missed out on as well, let me know in those comments and we'll discuss that here on AdamMcKola TV. I can already see, excuse me, got a little bit of my coffee repeating on myself. Can already see Benjamin T. Ross, Corstub, Gary Glenn, who's a member of AdamMcKola TV, Prakar, who's also a member, Two Tiers, Sean Shand, Robert Wagner, Sam Drew, another member, Daniel James, the real Daniel James, and Sam Drew again, Robert Wagner as well. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. I know a few of you occasionally miss lives and stuff like that, and a lot of you message me like, "Oh, sorry, I missed it," and that. You don't have to apologise. I know you guys tune in later on as well, and I appreciate every single one of your support in terms of getting it locked into the channel and all that. So thank you very much. We're going to get stuck into that story about Manchester United and 2021 being the date when we could possibly see fans returning to Old Trafford. And as we say, we're looking at this story. Comes from the Daily Mail. And Manchester United are preparing for a doomsday scenario with Old Trafford empty for 6 months once football finally returns, with fans unlikely return until 2021. So they're saying 6 months from when football returns. Man United Chiefs are preparing for football's highly anticipated return. Highly anticipated, I'm not too sure about that one. Yet United, like other clubs, are considering a potential doomsday scenario. Clubs are being realistic regarding when fans will actually be able to return. There is a growing feeling matches could be behind closed doors until 2021. Here's how it's... Alright, that's not another headline. Manchester United are readying themselves for all possibilities once football is able to finally return amid the coronavirus pandemic, with a dawning realisation that fans may not be present until 2021. Now, what I've got to say is, they say it's a dawning realisation. I think many level-headed people or people have been, reading the health advice and the messages from the health organisation and all that kind of thing. We've kind of been understanding that we probably won't get football for an awful long time. We know that, and we probably won't be able to go to game for an awfully long time. But actually, them putting it out there kind of makes you sit back and think, well, it's actually going to happen, you know what I mean? Because even when people were saying, the coronavirus is going to come and Liverpool aren't going to win the league, we all laughed and thought, that's not really going to happen. How funny would it be if that happened? But surely it's not going to happen. And it happened. And whilst, some people may have been thinking, yeah, football's going to return soon, we'll be back to normal in August, September or whatever, that's not necessarily going to be the case. And even when we do start returning to normality, it's going to be a slow rebuild to normality. It's not going to be one whole, all right, next day everybody's out again, we can all go shopping, we can all go to the football, to concerts and everything. It's all going to be a slow build up to that. Now obviously, because we go to football every single week, it's obviously something that we look at as a necessity or something that we rely on, when really it's just like going to a concert or something. So you wouldn't get concerts going off at the same time, would you? So it's a bit of an interesting one, but football can happen without crowds. Concerts probably can't, although you've got plenty of people on Instagram doing their little shows and that, which is Great for everyone. So the club are now considering a doomsday scenario with supporters being away from Old Trafford for at least 6 months after football is given the green light. It would mean the famous stadium will not see spectators present at a football match again until 2021, with players having to adjust themselves to the eerie situation. Many leading clubs are understood to believe mass gatherings and a return to capacity stadiums of up to 75,000 may not happen until next year at the earliest, when a vaccine for the virus may be widely available. It is reported that United's financial planners are now in the process of building various various strategies to cope with the long-term absence of crowds from Premier League's games. I don't know why they put copy in there. In order to keep the club in a healthy position. As the country searches for best options in the trying to return back to normality once the pandemic is brought under control, it is believed that large-scale football gatherings will be amongst the last items to be given the go-ahead. And that isn't it? We're not going to get football fans back in stadiums for an awfully long time. And maybe just getting that little bit of football behind closed doors would be great, just for entertainment purposes, morale and all that good stuff. But again, realistically, I cannot see that happening. I can't see it going ahead. I can't see us being in a place where we've got football going on while all this is going on, even if it's behind closed doors. But with this project restart and all that bollocks, it does look like they're trying to force that one ahead. There's a lot of money at stake here. There's a lot of money at stake. Vish says, "Sup, brother? What's going on? Well, how's it going? What's your thoughts on the safety standing trials?" I love it. Absolutely delighted with it. Anything that I stand up for the whole game anyway. And anyone that sits in tier 2 of the Stretford end and other various, I think probably a few other areas as well, will probably stand up for most of the game. Like, it happens and it's safe. So introducing the railed seating is only going to help the safety of that as well. So yeah, I'm all for it, even if it is just a 1,500 trial at this moment. The trials happening and being happening by a club like Manchester United as well. I know Celtic and places like that have it, but United doing it will make a big statement to those that have the ability to say yes or no to going ahead with football. If one player gets the virus, what happens then? We scrap the season again. Bang on, mate, Ross. And that's what I'm thinking. Like, there's always going to be that possibility that someone gets the virus or something happens, or a member of staff or a coach or something. I mean, Pep Guardiola's mum's passed from it. I mean, Mikel Arteta had it. So we're looking at it and we're thinking, it's not like it can't. These are human beings ultimately. And you're going to get some footballers as well that don't want to return, probably don't think it's wise, have elderly parents, living with them, grandparents, or young kids and pregnant wives, or just don't want to bring it back home, and they'll be concerned about going back out to play football and being forced into this situation. So I can see players that are in a position where their contracts are ticking down, probably thinking, "Yo, I need to play football." But if you've got a 4 or 5 year deal currently, you're probably thinking a little bit more clearer on the risks of the whole situation and would probably not want it to go ahead. Hudson Odoi had it. That's the other one that had it. Cheers, DJ. Yes, JP, what's going on? Aidan Mullen's late. Oh my God, mate, what's going on there? Not a problem if you're late. We're 10 minutes in. We've just been speaking about how United are preparing for a doomsday scenario as reported by the Mirror and the Mail, and football fans being unlikely to return to football stadia until at least 2021, which I think many of us probably expected anyway. Football behind closed doors, whether that goes ahead or not, again, I'm not too sure. I would love it to happen. I need something to talk about. Being able to do watch-alongs and things and reviews of games and all that good stuff will give me something to do. But I genuinely don't know what's going to happen with that. So we have to wait and see what goes on. But at the moment, the clubs are preparing for behind closed doors for the foreseeable future. And I think when you look at it, I think United, the last time I checked, it might be old, it might be a little bit off, but they earn around 3-4 million per game from match day revenue. That's a lot of money. Over the course of a season, it's probably around 150 million pounds. But if you are then able, because a lot of the reason why games aren't allowed to be shown on TV at 3 o'clock is because it affects the ability of fans or maybe local fans to go and support other teams in their local area, non-league teams, lower league teams, etc. If all games are on television, people are going to rather watch the Premier League than go to these games, is the thought. So that's why you're not allowed to televise 3 o'clock kickoffs. But when these games are being all held behind closed doors and there's not much else going on, that's when these clubs can now, or the TV package can now include every single game. So it may be a case where they're making more money off the television revenue, and it kind of counteracts for the money that they've lost from match day revenue. I'd need to look into that, but it's a possibility. Ruvez 1032, who's a new member, and I've just noticed what that is. It's a combination of Rooney and Tevez's name and numbers. So that's just, the penny's finally dropped on that regard. But yeah, he's a new member, or she's a new member as well. So thank you very much for joining us on AdamMcKola TV. A lot of people just want to return to work, says Michael. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. United, the next Netflix of Europe. Do you mean in terms of getting a pay to watch kind of platform, or in terms of blowing up and becoming the thing that everybody wants? How will the Champions League be decided if some countries restart 1920 and some don't, says Brian Basusu. It is believed that UEFA are making their own plans for a return, which would, let's say, the Premier League get the go-ahead and we see football return on a mass scale behind closed doors. So football returns, Premier League returns. Some of the leagues have already been decided. You've got to remember that. So let's say the Premier League returns in June and ends at the back end of July. I think UEFA want the Champions League and Europa League to be settled over a couple of weeks in August, which would then mean campaigns, next campaigns, if we can get football behind closed doors, can restart again probably in August, September, and we'd see a steady return for football after that. So it looks like, regardless of whether teams are, their league's been voided or not, UEFA will ask them to participate in that tournament if they're still in the Europa League or still in the Champions League in August. Now, obviously, there's a long way to go whether that happens or not. But the ideal scenario for these people is, I'd imagine the domestic cups maybe be thrown out the window in England, the FA Cup, possibly. But what we'd see there would be the Premier League finish, June and July. So for United, let's say we had our final 9 league games in June and July, and then in August we finished the Europa League. Now, obviously, the LASK Linz game still needs to be played the second leg, which is a strange one. But nevertheless, those fixtures will go ahead in August. So then you get that tournament done in August, which would be a quicker tournament. UEFA would probably use it as a replacement for the Euros almost. So you get that replacement in August, and then potentially Premier League and the next campaigns can start in September. That is how it's possibly looking if these plans go ahead. But these plans could change very, very quickly. They're all dependent on government guidelines. They're all dependent on government go-ahead. They're all dependent on the situation, staying and getting better, not getting any worse. Now, if it gets worse, then it's going to be a very difficult time and difficult to even comprehend football going ahead. But we've seen, I think, Brighton, whose owner was it? Was it Crystal Palace's owner has come out today and said that he would like to see football go ahead. So there's things like that happening, and people coming ahead, but coming forward, wanting it to go ahead, some not wanting it to go ahead. So we'll see what happens. But it does look like we're going to get behind closed doors football at some point, whether it's this season, next season, whatever. It looks like it's going to happen. Some of these clubs need the sport to survive. United are probably in a little bit of a stronger position where we can cope a little bit longer, but even then, we're going to be affected by it as well. So there you go. Jimmy says, pod to nowhere this evening. Yes, it is 8 o'clock We'll be on the pod to nowhere for about 45 minutes, an hour, with me and Mr. Stephen Arson. So make sure you join us there for that. Which reminds me, I need to apologise. Yesterday I was going to upload Football Manager video episode 1. I edited it. I was rendering the copy and it was taking about 2 hours, and this was at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I thought by the time this is done it's going to be very late. And then I watched it back and I thought I'm not happy with the edit. I felt the shoot was a bit rushed, and I wanted to do a few things differently that I didn't do, and I thought, I'll do them in episode 2. And then I just thought, scrap this. Let's cancel it. Let's do it properly. Get the first episode out midweek, baby. And then I'll get the second episode out next Saturday. So that's what I've decided to do with that. So it will be out. I just thought I'd take my time and make sure the content's spot on, rather than rushing it out and it's just what's already out there in terms of Football Manager content. I want to make it a little bit different. So there you go. Was house and done out here yesterday. I was playing a little bit of pro clubs, watching a bit of TV, chilling with the fam. I was a bit busy yesterday. Saturday is one of the ones where I just lock off. And I was editing that video for ages, which didn't go to plan. So the recap for Abhishek and those guys that have joined us late, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, commenting, sharing, subscribing, get your super chats in, and join if you can as well. But make sure you subscribed and you've liked the video. Football fans are unlikely to return to matches until at least 2021, so we could have football behind closed doors for the foreseeable future. That's what we've been looking at. Rooney has said Raval was better than Pogba, and I think that's something that Rio said, a number of players have said, probably Pogba and Jesse would say as well. They all looked up to Raval Morrison when they were in that youth team, but unfortunately Raval Morrison didn't develop as we would have liked him to have. He didn't have the career that his potential deserved, and unfortunately it didn't go to plan. Whereas on the other hand, the other fellas got 4 Italian titles, a World Cup, a Europa League, a League Cup for United. He's done pretty well with his league, with his career. So, you know, but imagine if Raval came through, man, and we had Raval and Paul Pogba as well. You probably wouldn't have ended up signing the likes of Bruno. Rojo's been caught breaking the lockdown rules out there, having a little drink and a smoke and a chill with his mates. Going on, Marcus, sort your fucking life out. It's not hard to stay in behind closed doors with your missus and your kids, is it? Come on, Marcus. And Fonseca, the head coach of Roma, has been speaking about how Smalling wants to stay at AS Roma, and I think that's great news for Manchester United, that he wants to stay there, because he deserves our respect. But also, I think we need to sell him. We need to sell Chris Smalling. We need to bring in a fee for him. And the fact that he wants to go, perfect. Roma, cough up the peas and you can have him. Liam, thank you very much for the nice comment, mate. Hopefully it helps a little bit of your day with guys if you're locked in or whatever. Even if you're not locked in, some people are still going to work and things like that. So hopefully it's a little break to your day and a little recap on things that are going on in the world of United, even though there isn't much right now. Neil, how you doing, pal? Hope you're doing well. On this Sunday. I lost track what day it was. I thought it was Monday today. I nearly woke up and done the Premier League Gazette. Absolutely lost track of it all. Can you do that, Blair? I didn't even know you could do that. I'll have a little butchers at that. But yeah. Michael, do you want Chris Smalling to stay? Is that who you want to stay? Ross says Marcus Rojo has character, but yeah, that's not acceptable what he's been doing in Argentina. 15 milli for Smalling. You know what? I would have said 20 to 25 before the coronavirus pandemic, but now the clubs that were going to come in for him probably not going to be able to cough it up. Maybe we could sell him to Newcastle or Everton or someone like that. Arsenal for like 25, 30 mil. But if we're selling him to Italy, then can't see us getting much more than 20 mil for him now. We paid 12 million for him, so there you go. That's a shout, you know, time for a stadium expansion or facelift while everyone's not there. But again, they're probably losing money, so the Glazers ain't going to be paying for none of that shit. What's going on, Dwag? What's up from Australia, bro? How you doing? I'm doing well, mate. How are you doing? Stay at Roma, says Michael. I've got the virus and I'm a key worker. Schwabe, get well soon, mate. Hope you're doing well and I hope you're getting a chance to rest. Um, I'd gladly take 50p and a multi-pack of skips for Smalling, to be honest, says Al Harrington. Sees well thought of in those comments. Let's have a look out for some more news, guys, and get your questions and thoughts in as well here on AdamMcKola TV, as we're discussing all things Manchester United. Here we go. Matteo Darmian has been saying Marcus Rashford can reach Ballon d'Or level. Now he says he can reach Mbappe level and win Ballon d'Or. I think Mbappe is an amazing talent. But I do think if Marcus Rashford played for PSG, he'd be doing similar in terms of like the numbers and that he's putting up. Obviously, Mbappe is a supremely talented player, and is ahead of him at this time. And you got the World Cup and things like that under your belt, Champions League goals and that. You have to be. But hear what I'm saying. If Marcus Rashford played for PSG, he'd be doing those bits. Anyway, Matteo Darmian is discussing the players who impressed him the most during his 4 years at United. He describes how Wayne Rooney stood out. He describes that hasn't happened for a long time on the channel. He describes how Wayne Rooney stood out from the first training session to such a degree that the Italian had to have a stern word with himself. He hadn't moved to England to stand around admiring his teammates in training. He had to make an impression himself. Then he pauses and says, "There was another player who really impressed me," and his mind wanders back to the day when a certain teenager trained with the first team for the first time. The kid in question blew Matteo Darmian away. I still remember Marcus Rashford's first session with the senior squad like it was yesterday. I immediately thought, wow, this is an incredible player. He did so many impressive things for a player of his age, and the way he improved in every detail really impressed me. If he continues to work the way he has done so far, he can be a Ballon d'Or winner. I'm convinced of this. He impressed me the most of all the players at United, and he's very young and can still improve. For me, he can reach the level of Kylian Mbappe and compete for the Ballon d'Ors for years to come. Darmian is back in Italy now, with Parma having moved back to Serie A in August last year. In March, in search of more first team football. But he looks back on his time at Manchester United fondly, though having made 92 appearances for the club. I like Matteo Darmian. It didn't go to plan with him. He started off really well. We went to the Emirates. Alexis Sanchez had his wicked way with him, and then he just went to shit. Now he's gone back to Italy. It's good to see he looks back on it fondly. He won a few trophies with us, so I suppose that's great. And as Sam says, no, I don't live next to a cop station. It is just Birmingham. How has the virus affected viewings at AMTV as a whole? Says Benjamin T. The views are probably down per video. Like, used to get like on this channel probably about 15k, 10k average per video. And now it's down to probably about 5 to 10k. But we've been getting a lot more new subscribers, a lot more new viewers. The content's been more regular. The watch time's been better, which is important for the channel as well. And we're building things. Like, I'm just building the foundations here now. Once football returns, we're going to go absolutely mad here. But having that daily content keeps things going. We can build up an audience. And then once football comes, boom, we smash it out again. And we keep extending things as much as possible. It'll be interesting to see how the world responds to football behind closed doors and what we can do and how we broadcast it. Obviously, I do fan cams usually for full-time Devils. Now I won't be doing fan cams at games, so I'll be at home. Maybe we'll be doing watch-alongs on here. We'll be doing reviews on here. We'll be doing post-match analysis. Like, we can do whatever. So it's, if football does return, it gives us something to talk about. I'm a little bit realistic in respects of it might not return. Do you know what I mean? It might not return. Favourite Rashford goal was the Ronaldo-esque free kick at the bridge. We love going to the bridge of late. We do indeed. And I used to hate travelling to Chelsea because it was often a difficult place to go. But now it has been all right for us. And Ollie usually has his wicked way with Frank Lampard. My favourite Rashford goal, that one's obviously up there. The PSG one's obviously up there. Um, Liverpool one when he cut inside Trent was pretty good. Glenn's asked a question. I'm going to keep asking the same question about if this league isn't finished before the next one normally starts, it will be null and voided or it's going to be finished no matter what. Well, we don't know at this moment in time. It could be null and voided, but I don't think that's a possibility. I think they'll try and settle it some way. I ultimately think the Premier League is going to go ahead behind closed doors. But if they had to settle it without football being played, I believe they would do. I don't think they're going to null and void it. I don't think that's possible, unfortunately. And for United, it's actually beneficial because with City being banned from the Champions League, we're in a Champions League spot. You know, it's frustrating. I feel like we were going to get Champions League. We were going to get Champions League. Ruvez thinks behind closed games is only going to be weird for the first few games. We'll get used to it. It'll just be like if everyone had racist fans. You know, when you go abroad and you play some European team, you have to play behind closed doors and it's just dead. That's why the LASK Linz game didn't feel that weird because it wasn't in England. When it's at home, I think it's going to be a little bit more weird. Like, especially if they play it in Old Trafford and that, and you've got like the best players playing in an empty stadium, it's going to be really weird. But again, we'll probably get used to it. Will they change the way the stands look so that it doesn't? You know, like how I know it's easier for WWF to do it, but you know how like WrestleMania and things like that, they've changed the background so that there wasn't just empty seats there. It looked different. Not going to say there's going to be any graveyard matches between teams, but you know, when you look at that, like maybe they changed the way the things are in the stands as well. You're hearing about screens and cutouts and all that kind of. I'm not sure about that, but nevertheless. Are you suspicious of people these days and walking? I'm not suspicious of people. People are all probably nervous in their own way. Are all, you know, just got their own shit going on in it. Just keep your distance. I was in a queue at Co-op the other day, and this woman behind me wasn't keeping her distance. Like that pissed me off a bit because like, oh, just back up a bit. But ultimately, everyone's just shook in it. Like, it's just a weird time. I've gone mental though. I ordered a whisk for my milk. That's what I've been up to these days. I'm trying to cook without blowing the kitchen up. Ordered a whisk for my milk. That's how mental I've gone in this lockdown. Just green screen the entire seating area and add them after. Or like green screen with my watch alonga, and I'll just be sat there as the whole stand looking like, what is that guy's name in Power Rangers again? Zordon. Just watching over everybody. Did I see what Paul Ince was saying about Sancho? Nope, because I don't pay attention to Paul Ince. He's a fucking idiot. I don't drink milk, says Inner Soul. Nor do I drink oat milk, but milk in it. Oat milk. I've been converted to oat milk in the last 2 years. So I do not drink milk either, but my oat milk in it. Oat milk and coffee is fire. Where have we got on this show? That's what I'm thinking. Oh my god. Oat milk, Jimmy. When I used to drink cow milk, it used to be green or blue. Red is for insane people, right? 75,000 AdamMcKola's world isn't ready for that. It's not at all. It's not. Who had or has the biggest point to prove at United this season? Staggered. Well, Solskjaer, but probably Marshall, Rashford. One of those two. A lot of pressure was on them at the start of the season. Do what South Park did have water bears for the crowd and break a tent. Oh yeah, that's a good shot. That is. You could cut the commentators and do a voiceover on the games. That would be banging. Yeah, but I can't show the games on here. I mean, you guys could cut your commentators and listen to me, but then you'd have to sync it all up and that. I'm not sure how that would work. So anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to AdamMcKola TV. It's been United Daily Live again. We have been discussing how United could be playing behind closed doors for the foreseeable future and into 2001. Thank you for joining the show. Make sure you're clicking that like button, subscribe as well, and just like 37 or 38 maybe others have joined AdamMcKola TV as well. If you can, if you click that join button, all will be revealed. Anyway, for now, I have been AdamMcKola. You lot have been legends. It's Sunday, so the pod to nowhere's up tonight at 8 o'clock. Keep it locked for that. I'm out of here.